What is going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building in this jamboree, baby. And we are going to be discussing episode 13 of season 12 of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. And I got to tell y'all, this is how long I like a season to actually be. 13 good episodes. Now, let me compare that to something. You got 13 episodes of action packed content and a 3-part reunion. Whereas in Orange County, you had 17 episodes and only a 2-part reunion. The math ain't mathing, okay? But it does math. You know why? Because what Jersey does makes sense. And Jersey has been having short seasons for a long time. For those of you guys who don't know and who haven't followed me that long, I used to recap Jersey when I was at AfterBuzz TV, and they have had short seasons for the past few seasons. So I'm all the way here for it. Now, if you are new to the chat or if you're just joining in, let us know where you guys are watching from because you know your boy is a little bit on the nosy side, and I want to know where my people are watching from. Okay. So go ahead and drop that location down in the chatterization down below. And a little bit of news for you guys. A little bit of news. Tomorrow night, I will be in New York City spilling the tea with Zach and Adam from Up and Adam and No Filter with Zach. And I'll be joined by a special panel of esteemed guests at the City Winery in New York City, and we will be having a ball. So if you guys can get your tickets, you can get tickets, I think, still for the show. I'm not necessarily sure. It might be sold out, but I know that you can watch online as well. And guess who will be in the house? I heard perhaps one Miss Margaret Josephs might just be in the house. So if y'all got some questions for Miss Marge, I might have some answers for you a little later, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, let's get on with the show, okay? Because we talking Smashville. It was a showdown in Smashville. That was the name of the episode, okay? Good to see all my people here in the building. I see y'all. 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 Thank you so much for tuning in from wherever you guys are watching in the world today. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into the jamboree. You know, I'm probably gonna make some Teresa fans mad today, and that's fine. I might even make a few Margaret fans mad today, and that's fine too. Okay, because what we do in this conversation, in this conversation, in this community, is we have conversations where we all do not get along and we all do not always agree. But what we can do is we can disagree respectfully. So I just ask that you keep it respectful. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that the fans are clearly on one side or the other, okay? And here I am, smack dab in the middle, all right? In the middle of the mess. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rate the episode on a scale of 1 to 10, guys. For those of you guys who are new here, what we do is on a scale of 1 to 10, we take the episode, we look at it, especially as a finale, and we judge it. And this episode, we're not just basing it on the fact of it being a regular episode, but we're going to base it on it being the finale of the season. And as a finale, I'm going to have to give it a 9. Okay. Now, yep. Felicia says I'm in the middle too. We got a 10. We got a 10. We got a 8, 8.5, 10, 7.5, 9. And I got to tell you guys, when I give this a 9, I really rate Jersey. I have to almost rate it on a scale that's a little bit higher, the same way I do with Love and Marriage Huntsville, than some of the other shows, because Jersey has brought it all season long. There were 2 episodes that I was not able to recap because I was really in study and grind mode for my real estate class final, and I still have to take the actual national and state exam, but we are through the class, so I wasn't able to recap those 2 episodes. But I'm going to give this a 9, and let me tell you why I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to give it a 9 because, you know, it's interesting that they ended, and I think OC might have done the same thing. They ended in the place where they had the cast trip, which is interesting to me because a lot of times they'll come back and do an episode or two afterwards. But I felt like, again, in the interest of keeping a series or a season succinct, I'm glad that they ended it here because I felt like that was the best place to end it, especially with Teresa going off to Europe to get proposed to. Okay. The other reason I give it a 9 is because I love to have a ponderosa between the two reigning divas of the show. And it reminded me of the sit down in the finale of season 2 with Caroline Manzo and with Danielle Staub. If you are a true Jersey fan, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And I believe that happened in the finale of, like I said, season 2. And that indeed was epic. I think that one was more epic than this one, but this one I felt like gave me a little bit of what I needed in a finale ponderosa between the two people who have had the most beef. Okay. So with that being said, let's get into the episode. We are still in Nashville. The chef arrives for breakfast. Dolores does not think it's going to be a good day. Someone says, do I think that they're going to get married? I do think they're going to get married. Now, I hope it lasts, but there are some red flags, okay? There are some red flags, but and I'll talk about it as we get more into the episode because I feel like there are some things that happen that will lend itself to me giving my absolute opinion on exactly what I think will occur, okay? And Felicia, I miss Caroline Manzo as well. I hope she comes back next season because they do need to shake some things up next season. And I have a feeling I've heard some things, and I have a feeling I know who might be leaving and who might be staying. Marge is still on fire from the night before. Jackie is still dealing with her mindset over her disorder. And everybody convenes for breakfast. We learn that Tiki, once again, will not be on the bike ride because that man got to work. Now, I'm going to say this, and I know it's going to sound pretty negative, but I feel like I prefer Tiki on this show more than I do Tracy on this show. And Tiki is barely involved in really much of anything because he is constantly working. But that man said, this is not my primary job. I got to continue to get my paycheck. So, Tracy, you do whatever you want to do. But to me, he's much more interesting because I feel like he's not afraid to get into the muck and the mire of it all and ask Louis the questions that needed to be asked when he needed to ask them. He has done what he needed to do when he needed to do it. And so to me, it just kind of sucked that Tracy didn't really bring what I needed her to bring. She, to me, just doesn't have that reality TV star persona that I feel like I really need to make it on a show like Jersey. Okay. Anyway, on the FaceTime, okay, Melissa and Joe are congratulating Teresa for her apology to the table. Yes, Teresa, you did a good job apologizing last night. Meanwhile, Joe and Margaret are like, what apology? Okay, you don't get an A for effort in this town. But Teresa on the phone, FaceTime, and she's like, I'm not apologizing to Margaret, okay? And Teresa tells Melissa, you need to straighten Margaret out. But then the irony of this is that when Melissa comes back at her with like, no, you need to straighten it out, Teresa says, I'm a grown woman. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. So let me understand this, okay, Teresa, okay? And this is why I say Teresa fans is going to be mad at me because I got to point out something. Teresa, you yourself at 49, as you stated, cannot tell Melissa that she needs to straighten out her friend when you yourself are literally sitting there saying, I'm a grown woman. I don't have to do anything I want to do. What makes you think you can make Melissa do what you want her to do, but you ain't got to do nothing that nobody else sees fit for you to do? Okay. It's the hypocrisy of it all for me. But the thing I like about Teresa is, and the thing I like about most OGs on these reality TV shows, the ones who last the longest, is that there is a very high sense of self and delusion of grandeur, okay? And I'm all the way here for it. And this show could not really exist as well without Teresa. All right. I'm gonna be clear about it. I'm gonna be clear about it. The same way I feel like OC needs Vicky, but Vicky needs to be tempered by Tamara. So let me just state that. Okay, I would, you know who I would love to have a conversation with Tamara. I'm gonna make that happen at one point in time. Me and Tamara gonna have a Ponderosa. We're gonna have a good old Ponderosa. Okay. But I digress. Anyway, down to the breakfast. All right. Marge is on fire asking everyone how they could think that last night's apology was so beautiful. And of course, Jennifer thought it was just amazing and nice that Teresa would apologize. To be quite honest with you, Teresa could rob a bank and Jennifer would just applaud from the sidelines. Well done, Teresa. You did a great job of that. Oh my God. Guys, shouldn't we be congratulating her on the fact that she robbed the bank? I mean, I think we should, right? Girl. Anyway, Jennifer says, well, Jackie, you took Teresa's apology, even though we know you didn't like it. Jackie says, I took it because I was nervous about what she was going to do to my family next. And then Melissa chimes in with a good point and says, well, if there's nothing going on in your family, then she can't do anything to your family. And so Jackie pops back with, well, that's what I realized. And that's why I'm not good with her now. See, at this point, Jackie feels like she's hip to Teresa, but she accepted the apology for herself. And that is something that people always say is when you accept somebody's apology, you're not accepting it for them. You are accepting it so that you can move on with your life, okay? But she says something that I do agree with in a sense. She says, Teresa is a dangerous person. Now, I'm gonna change that to Teresa last season did some dangerous things with regards to running around spreading the rumors about Evan at his own birthday party to any and everybody that would listen, and then claiming, oh my God, no, it wasn't me. I only told one person. I only told two people. I wasn't telling everyone with ears. No, it wasn't me. This is what I heard on the streets. Knowing good and well she didn't hear it. And then sending off Jennifer to go and find somebody down in Tenafly or wherever the place is to call up the folks and try to get photos of the alleged girl. Please, please miss me with all this. You cannot go from last season tinkering and playing puppet master with somebody else's relationship and then thinking your relationship is off limits the next season. And see, that's why you shouldn't go around playing Tinkerbell with people's relationships, because you never know when that thing gonna come back around on you, okay? And then you gonna be the subject matter. Because I don't understand why reality TV stars don't understand that. You who are the instigator will soon be the target. Trust, okay? It never fails on these shows. And I don't understand why Teresa, who has been a veteran on this show since season 1, hasn't realized that yet. But again, delusions of grandeur. And I love it, okay? So then Marge goes off about this non-apology about Teresa fat shaming her. And Melissa, Dolores, and Jennifer says, oh no, I did not like I didn't like the fat shaming at all. And Marge is like, well, why didn't you say anything then? You're all allowing it. And Dolores says, we're not allowing it. We're not her parents. And I want to ask you a question for those in the chatterization. And I just want you to say yes or no. At this point in your life, do you pull your friends aside when you see them behaving badly? Let's just put it like that. Yes or no? Okay. Yes or no? Do you pull your at this age, wherever you are in your age, and if you want to tell your age, you can, okay? But if you at this age, when you see your friend misbehaving, calling folk out their name, fat shaming them and everything like that, do you pull them aside for a Ponderosa, or do you Let them do what they do. Now, I see a lot of y'all saying, yes, I pulled them aside. And Sammy says, no, I called them out. Oh, no, I called them out right then and there. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Georgia, I don't blame you for telling me the truth. Georgia says, yeah, but if they're going to go off on me, I'm set. Brand says, I don't have friends. If I seen anything ignorant from anyone, though, I wouldn't stand for it. Brand, I'm sure you got some friends out there. Yes, you're not a real friend if you don't. I like this. Key stays splashing says, yes, but you only get 2 corrections before I cut you off. Okay. Lakeisha says, yeah, and we're 40. Absolutely. Glory, call them out. Delta, I'm 49, and if the person is my true friend, absolutely yes. Yes. Tony says, yes, but in the end, they're grown. Tell them right there. Yes. Okay. Okay. Boom. I am iconic says they are scared to lose their place on the show. That Muppet doesn't scare me, though. Oop. So, I mean, for me, I'm at 2 spaces in my life. One, and as I've told you guys before, is I kind of let people be people. But what I won't do now is, and I have made this mistake before, is I have sat at a table and watched someone with zero couth eviscerate one of an acquaintance at the time. We weren't friends like we are friends now, but I watched that person get eviscerated at that table, and it haunts me to this day. And so now I'm at a point where I can't stand I can't take that or tolerate that type of behavior, because I remember how I felt when I left that brunch, and I said to myself, I will never let that happen again, because my motto at the time was, this person I already know this person has zero couth. So I already know that everybody is tiptoeing around them and they're already eviscerating one person. I don't feel like having to box today. Okay. But at the end of the day, like the sign in the metro says, if you see something, say something. And that's our obligation, I think, as friends and as people in this day and age now. So the thing about it is, Teresa, while I understand she's a grown adult, somebody who is close to her definitely, and I would say Dolores needs to be the type of friend that says to her, listen, what you're doing right now is not necessarily the best look for you, okay? And I'm going to tell you how it is, because I've seen Dolores jump up in Teresa's face. If you go back to season 8, I think it was the season that Danielle was on there and Siggy was on there and Marge had first came. It was that season, I believe. I've seen Dolores jump up in Teresa's face and go in on her. So I know she's capable of doing it. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, if you rewind it back to seasons, you will know it too, because they was in a restaurant when it happened. Anyway, Jen says, well, it's a two-way street. And she lacks account. Well, she says this to Margaret, that it's a two-way street and that Margaret lacks accountability. And Melissa chimed in and says, well, Margaret, you did ask a lot of questions. Margaret says, I didn't say I didn't do anything. I just didn't do anything to deserve that. So then Jennifer says, well, Jackie, we can all agree that we don't like it when a rumor gets shed on us. And Jackie's like, well, she pulled that out of her anus. And Jennifer is doing whatever she can to defend her boss, but it ain't working for the rest of the group, okay? At least it ain't working for Margaret and Jackie, all right? Margaret states this fact right here. Everything that they're talking about on this show about Louis has been posted to the internet for the people to see, okay? It has been posted, talked about by the exes, and now it is like out there, okay? And while at the beginning of the season, Teresa said that she never looked at those posts and she never saw them, we will see that later she admits on camera that she saw all of those posts. Okay. Melissa says that she understands Margaret's heart, but she is not a fan of Margaret's delivery. And I can understand that part of it. But I also know that Melissa knows that she got to tiptoe a fine line in order to stay in Teresa's good graces, in order to not rock the boat for Joe and Teresa's relationship. Okay. And one good time I would really like to see Melissa just read Teresa down. One good time. Or at least really get at her the same way that I feel like Teresa gets after her. I want to see it happen one good time. But I know Melissa is really trying to support her husband and at least being cordial with this woman. Cena, thank you for becoming a member. You guys can become members to the channel by clicking down below in the description. If you cannot see it on your phone, click the X under the video and then look in the description and you guys can see the join link there. Okay. Now, let's see. So they get ready to go and they're going to go do the bike riding at the bar type situation where everybody sits around the bar and they have to pedal while they drink and they're riding throughout town. And I've kept wondering, I'm like, I don't understand why Margaret keep wearing these platforms. Margaret, girl, if you know that you're going to be around somebody who at any point in time is likely to throw the entire table at you, girl, use a G for wearing these big old platform heels, especially knowing that you're going bike riding. But for me, if I knew that I'm going to be around somebody that at any point in time might throw some food at me, I'm wearing my Timberlands. I got my combat boots on. I got my Doc Martens on. I got something else on. I ain't got these big old clogs. But again, Margaret, you a G for that. It don't matter anyway because she ain't pedaling because she's sitting in the back. So anyway, Louis and Teresa arrive, and she actually says hi to Margaret, which I thought was very nice. And as you know, I have seen these bike bars before, and I see the people pedaling, and I thought to myself, are they pedaling for like just the show of it? But it looks like you really got to pedal in order to make that thing go. And I was like, well, all right now. Okay, I'm here for this kind of carry, you know. I'm definitely doing it the next time I go. You know, at the time when I had first seen it, I lived in Miami, and I was like, oh, that's for tourists. I'm not doing that. But honestly, that thing looked fun to me. They get to the restaurant. They separate it into two tables that are kind of back to back. Joe Gorga, the instigator, decides he is going to do a competition amongst the guys because this place serves the spiciest chicken that you can imagine. Okay. Now, when I'm talking spicy, I'm talking when you eat it, your skin is starting to burn off. Okay. And to me, this is why I say if I would not survive in this group of guys. The way they drink and all this type of carrying on, I wouldn't make it. I would be in the hospital. Okay. And so we have Joe, who else was in it? It was Joe, it was Frank, it was Bill, and who else? Was it Evan? Was Evan in it? I can't. Louis. Okay, Louis gets out, Frank gets out, Joe and Bill tie. Now, remember, y'all, that they had these hot and spicy wings. I want you to remember this. This is a key element in this episode, okay? Philly says you would be a Kim Fields type of housewife. Philly Diva, why you got to say all that? I would get involved. I just wouldn't be drinking like that, okay? You know I got my 2 drink. I might be Kim Fields now that I think about it. If I ain't gonna drink that much and I ain't gonna eat these spicy wings, I'm probably gonna be barely participating at all anyway. And if you throw a table at me, now that's a wrap, okay? But anyway, remember that they ate these spicy wings because I always say what goes in hot comes out hotter, okay? If you don't remember nothing else that I told you, I want you to remember that. Especially me. My stomach is very sensitive to the spicy foods. Now, what's interesting is I can eat wasabi like nobody's business. I can spread that wasabi over some sushi like it won't nothing, like it was mayonnaise. And y'all know when people put mayonnaise on sandwiches, they slather that stuff off to the point where the mayonnaise be dripping. Have y'all ever noticed that? You order a burger from some place and they put so much mayonnaise on it that you can't even put your hands around a burger without mayonnaise just dripping down your fingers and stuff like that. Why do they do that? But you ask for some mustard and they gonna put a little petri dish on there, a little on there. That's all you're gonna get a mustard, okay? And they barely want to give you any ketchup these days with your fries. You know, you ever notice that you got to ask for your ketchup now? You know what I mean? But for some reason, it must be an overstock of mayonnaise in these establishments because they will put mayonnaise on a sandwich like nobody's business. Okay. I don't know how I got to this point, but it's the truth. Okay. It is the truth. We had 2 super chats. Sir Capricorn, technically Bill won. Joe drank milk, but LOL. Technically, that's true. Miss Susu, thank you for the super chat. Also says, side note, have you seen the preview of the reunion where Teresa co-signed Jennifer with the B-boy? How do you feel about someone disrespecting your siblings? Because I would not be able to do it. I'm gonna talk about the reunion at the end. And no, I wouldn't be able to do it. And if my sister did call me that, that would be the last time I spoke to her. Okay. But my sister would never say that. Okay. My sister loved me. And I love my sister. So that makes it even more interesting that she said it. Anyway, for whatever reason, Melissa's like, Melissa, see, y'all think that Melissa is boring. I see y'all comment sometimes. Y'all think she's boring. Melissa is a key player because Melissa is very smooth with stirring up mess. And if you watched Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, you would have seen Melissa at her best. But on this show, Melissa is much more subtle with how she manipulates situations, okay? And I love it. Melissa, while they are all having a good time, says, Teresa, you sure better behave yourself today. And boom, Teresa's like, well, you know what? I want to actually go talk to Margaret. I want to go talk to her right now. I said, Melissa, ooh, I see you, girl. You knew exactly when to light that match. That is a seasoned reality TV personality right there. And y'all can say, well, she don't have no storyline. Not every character needs a main storyline. Sometimes you need characters who are a part of an integral part of the drama, just enough that they always look like they don't have anything going on. Okay. So again, a true mastermind. Okay. I know a lot of y'all like Teresa because she gonna give you explosions, but sometimes you need somebody to light the match. Okay. Now, so Teresa goes over, she makes Bill get up, and she says, let's talk, Margaret. Let's sit down and talk in this crowded restaurant. And Margaret is like, girl, if you don't get away from me right now, I am not having this conversation with you right now. Okay. And Joe and everybody else, they convince Teresa to back off and hold on to it because they're basically like, no, you need to save this for the finale. The finale's filming tonight. Save your Ponderosa for a one-on-one for the two of y'all because don't ruin our meal, okay? So anyway, Jennifer then, after Teresa leaves, Jennifer, who is employed allegedly by Teresa. I kid. Let me put the banner up for somebody get me, okay? Jennifer's like, isn't it nice that Teresa made an effort? And Margaret is like, well, it's always on her terms. She says, I forgave her very quickly for that hair pull. And then we get a flashback of Danielle saying, he said, remember, because it was Danielle who told us that it was Teresa that encouraged her to pull Margaret's hair and yank her almost in two. But it was actually the store owner, allegedly, who said it. And then Danielle whispered, he told me to go pull her hair. And Teresa said, do it. And so off she went. Now, while we cannot blame Teresa for this, the fact that she encouraged Danielle to do it, it just reminds me of the fact that Teresa will go to whatever extreme that she feels like is necessary to make some things happen if she deems the person not on her side, i.e. convincing Jennifer to call up the people down in the Tenafly or Frank and try to get photos of whomever Jackie's husband was allegedly trying to sleep with. Okay, that is how far she will go. And I don't know why y'all don't realize it. And like I said, Danielle is a grown woman, but the fact of the matter is, and so is Jennifer, but the fact of the matter is, what these ladies know, the Danielles and the Jennifers are, they know that if they can stay in Teresa's back pocket and remain an ally for Teresa, then they will stay on this show. And Teresa knows that if they want to stay on this show, and because they are on the outs with everybody else, they need her. Okay, so they are typically, usually willing and able and ready to do her bidding. Okay, she's a mastermind too, and I'm not mad at it, but I am gonna call it out like I see it. Okay, and I've been watching this show from the beginning, just like a lot of you guys. So a lot of us peep the game and we know what's up, right? Now, some of y'all who are new here, okay, I mean, I understand why you may not know the history, but for those of us that do know the history, we see each other, okay? We see each other, all right? Meanwhile, Margaret is upset because she feels like she had a soft spot in her heart for Teresa from the beginning. The guys, they do their competition over the wings. We talked about that. But everybody gets home and the guys' stomachs are hurting. And suddenly it's time for dinner. Now, we talked about how what goes in hot comes out hotter, right? Right? We talked about that. So now it's coming back to haunt the guys because some of the guys got to go to the bathroom. Some know it's going to hit them later. And some even need to throw up. Okay? So it's time for dinner. Okay? And Teresa feels like it's time to confront Margaret. But before we get to do that, we get a scene where we learn that Joe Gorga had to puke from eating them wings. Them spicy wings we was talking about, the ones that go in hot and come out hotter. Yeah. So what he does is, as you all know, in order to make yourself puke, okay, you need to stick the finger down the throat like so, right? You got the go down the throat, okay? So that you can get that gag reflex to reflexing, all right? But the finger in the throat don't work. And Frank comes to the rescue. And Frank has the most novel idea. Well, if your finger isn't working, I have something else in mind. So what Frank does is Frank says, here, use the dildo from the other day. Stick that down your throat. Okay, and then you will throw up. So what does Joe Gorga do? But he sticks the dildo down his throat. And what do you know? He gag on that thing. He is gagging on that dildo and he throw right on up. So the next time you feel like you need to get something out your stomach and your finger not doing the trick, get yourself a dildo. Stick it on down there, gag a little bit on it, and everything will come right on up. Okay? Everything will come right on up. I tell you, when I watch this show, I learn something new. Every episode, I learn something new. baby. Let me tell you something. That's why I tell y'all the guys on this episode, they makes this show. Okay. Bravo, y'all did that with the casting for this show. This is why you can't ever lose Joe Gorga. Okay. We don't ever need to lose Joe Gorga, and we don't need to lose Frank Catania because they give us they give us a show, okay? Not gagging on the dildo. When you think about it. Oh, God. Anyway, they arrived to the rooftop for the finale dinner. The guys sit at one table and pop some champagne, and the ladies sit at another. I'm gonna tell y'all, I've had some hot food before, and I would not advise drinking champagne after you done had some hot and spicy. But I guess if you done already got it out your system, throat goats. I guess if you already got it out your system, your stomach should be fine. Or a little kale pectate might help you, okay? Anyway, the girl sat at one table, the guy sat at the other. Jennifer wants Margaret to talk to Teresa and at least give her some at least give Teresa some props for the effort she made. You know, like how you would give a child effort for just at least trying to do something. I mean, Jennifer basically said that. Like, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but she did say, you know, kind of like you would do a child. And Jack is like, who wants more children? Margaret is like, you all have lowered your standards for her. And Dolores is like, I haven't lowered my standards. And then we get a flashback to Dolores basically equating to Teresa to a dog who is in a shelter. And it's like Louis has come to rescue the dog in the shelter. I said, ooh. I said, ooh, something told me when Dolores had equated her to the dog in the shelter that it was going to come back to haunt her. But hopefully Teresa won't notice it and she'll just be focused on Margaret at the reunion and maybe not Dolores in that comment. Okay, right there. Anyway, basically for Marge, it's like this. She feels like Teresa encouraged Danielle to pull her hair. Then Teresa apologized to her, and now she's fat shaming her. And Jennifer says this, well, you know, when she was doing it, I thought it was wrong, but I thought if I said anything, it would trigger her. And I just wanted everybody to calm down. No, Jennifer, you were afraid of your boss. Okay. You were afraid of your boss. And suddenly, Teresa and Louis arrive. Okay. Now, Louis wants to immediately pull Joe Gorga to the side. He wants to thank Joe for being so genuine with him while the women have judged him from his past. He lets Joe know that he's going to take Teresa to Europe. He's going to whisk her away next week and propose. And because their dad is not around, he asks for Joe's blessing. I did respect that. I did respect the fact that he asked Joe Gorga. I thought that was a really nice moment. And Joe basically says, well, you know, when I first met you, I really liked you. But then all of these things came out about you. And I just, you know, I anytime I've gotten into my sister's relationship in the past, it hasn't worked out well for me. But he's like, I've got to ask you, you know, what is up with your past? And Louis says that, you know, he got divorced and then he got with some very toxic and low life women. Now, before I saw this episode, I was looking online. I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw several accounts of people posting videos that Louis had obviously sent to some of these alleged low-life toxic women, and they were very loving videos about how he was so appreciative that they are in his life. You know, the same things that he is telling Teresa. I would actually pull them up now, but I felt like I don't really like the fact that these women have posted these videos. But because he is calling those women low life and toxic, I'm like, but you dated them, player. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. All of my relationships have not been good. And I have had some where I felt like I was done really dirty. But as I look back on those situations, one thing I would never do is I would never call any of my exes low life. I might call the situation toxic. And I might have, joked around and be like, that person, that person is toxic. But that person could have just been toxic for me. Okay. But I ain't ever calling them a low life. And I just think that that was just, you know, he called them thirsty, low life women. But again, the videos that I saw didn't display. I mean, he was even talking about manifesting those types of women. He was like, and then I'm paraphrasing, you're the woman that I've been manifesting. The same things that he's telling Teresa are the same things that he was saying in those videos where he is now calling those women low life and thirsty. Okay. So those are some red flags to me. Those are some red flags. They just are. Anyway, um, Joe says, well, with all these stories come out, there's got to be some truth to your toxicity as well. Okay. And I really like Joe in that moment because Joe was like, I'm not going to allow you to just sit here and blame it on the women. Okay. You have to take some ownership in some of this. And Louis finally says he owns his mistakes but that he was not abusive. He says he's trying to manifest the right woman. And again, that's the verbiage that he used in some of those videos as well. So I'm like, oh, I hope you've manifested her. Anyway, Joe says that Louis admitting that he wasn't is admitting that he wasn't perfect, but it's what he's doing in the present that counts, and they hug it out. And that is true too. We can't always judge people by their past. We really have to judge them based on what is happening in the present. I'm trying to work on that in my own life, and I'm pretty clear with that. But still, when you have so many red flags like that out in the public eye, you do have to be a little bit cautious. At least Teresa get a prenup. All right. Marge and Jackie discuss how Lewis reacts when he's cornered. Jackie doesn't like the narrative that the girl that he's spinning, that the girls are just all crazy, exes. Joe and Melissa go to talk to Teresa and Louis about Margaret, and Melissa tells her, basically tells Teresa that she's wrong about how she handled Margaret. Teresa says she hasn't done anything to hurt Margaret at all. It must be really nice to have a short memory. Teresa does want to see, though, if Margaret is going to be a supportive friend, since Melissa believes that Margaret has been trying to come from a good place. So Margaret and Teresa go aside for the finale ponderosa. Teresa says that Marge should have just come to her in the beginning. And Margaret says, I did come to you in the beginning. And true enough, Margaret did go to her at that first event immediately and told Teresa, hey, he needs to get in front of all of this. And Teresa says that she did not want him to address it. And Margaret is like, it's out there, and not talking about it, you're still giving it life because you're trying to ignore it, okay? And Margaret says all he had to do was say, I've been in some bad relationships in the past. I'm in a good space now, and that's that. And that's true. But he doesn't technically owe any of them an explanation. And see, that's the key here. Margaret's concern, if that's what it is valid because everybody in the group was talking about it. Did this man need to address them? No. The only person he technically needed to address is the person he is involved with and potentially Joe Gorga, since he's going to be asking for Teresa's hand in marriage. That's really it, to be quite honest with you. Now, the fact of the matter remains, the tea is out there about him. But his only explanation in real time is to Teresa and perhaps to Joe. That's it. I mean, and red flags, I see them, yes. And I think it's okay for Margaret to say, hey, I see some red flags with this guy. I just want to make sure you're okay. That's it. That's all you can really do as a friend. That's really it, right? Thank you for the super chat, Vanessa. I appreciate you. Well, and Teresa, you know, after Margaret says that he could have just said, "I've been in some bad relationships in the past, but I'm here now in the present, and we're doing great." Teresa says, "Well, he did say that," and Margaret is like, "No, he said that his ex stabbed somebody with a butcher knife." Okay, and that's the truth. Okay, so versus when he did have an opportunity to address the group, he didn't quite tell what I felt like was the truth, especially about the video. He made it seem like the video was in response to him disappointing himself for staying with this with the thirsty ex. But in the video, he is clearly apologizing to said thirsty ex. So that looked like a lot to me. Okay. Then, in order to continue to divert attention away from himself, he basically said that the ex had went after her ex with a knife. My question is, if you know that if you know that she knife happy, what you doing with her? Okay, but that's the whole nother question for another day. Teresa says, "Put yourself in my shoes. I see all this stuff on social media." Well, it's been a year for us, and then I see all of this stuff on social media. And I had to write in my notes, but girl, at the beginning of the season, you said neither you nor Gia saw the stuff on social media. Which one is it? Did you see the social media or did you not see the social media? Okay. Teresa then breaks down and says she's been really, really sad, you know, because she really has found somebody that she really loves. And my heart did kind of break for her in that moment because I felt like there might have been a real tear that she was wiping away because I feel like she really does love this man. And I do agree that she has gone through a lot, particularly from her last relationship. And so I do also agree that someone who may be potentially love bombing her is going to make her feel warm and fuzzy, and it's going to make her feel like that is what she deserves. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, every woman, every person, every person deserves to feel amazing in a relationship, and he obviously is making her feel that way. Margaret says in her confessional, so she is so afraid of losing this relationship that she would rather lie, i.e., act like she didn't see any of these things in social media in order to protect the relationship. So Margaret says, "Why do you think I would want to hurt you and Louis?" And Teresa says, "I just don't feel like you were sincere when you came to me." So they even they revisit their history, and Teresa says Marge has been talking about her behind her back. And, you know, Teresa says, "Jennifer and Dolores, they understand me. They know what ticks me off." And in my mind, I was like, no, they just tiptoe around you because they know what tips you off. Margaret says, no, they said they lowered their standards. And I had to say, Margaret, that's not what they said. That's what you said. What they said was, Jennifer said we have to treat her differently. well, we have to applaud her for doing something okay, kind of like how you do a child. Dolores said or equated Teresa to an abused dog in a shelter who has been rescued by a new owner. Okay. But they did not say that they lowered their standards. You said that. Now, I don't know which one is worse, but I know that they did not say they lowered their standards. Okay. So Marge then goes, what Marge says next is true, though. Marge says, well, they said that you've got to treat Teresa differently. And that Louis is her lifeline, but Marge also says, but I'm gonna hold you accountable and I'm not gonna take your abuse. And Teresa's like, but I don't treat you horribly. Margaret is like, girl, you called me trout mouth, you fat shamed me. And Teresa at this point is stumbling because Margaret has the upper hand in this argument at this point. Because Margaret is like, really, she's speaking facts about the way Teresa has treated her with regards to this whole situation. And when you equate Margaret asking about Louis to Teresa talking about Margaret's jiggly booty, calling her trout mouth, talking about how much she eats, I don't think the two are equal, okay? I really don't. So Marge is now on the loose. She says, you called me white trash, a hoe, and you spilled an entire table on me. And Teresa was like, well, yeah, I was mad. I mean, what do you expect? She was like, you're always coming at me. And Margaret says, all I ever did was be nice to you. I stood up for you. And Teresa's like, well, I would say ditto, vice versa. And Marge is already getting up out of her seat. She says, I've championed you from day one, and you have broken my heart, and I am done. And Louis comes over and he's like, thank you. First of all, I was like, how did you get into this scene? And Margaret just looked back at him like, oh, get out of here. And so Louis tells Teresa, he was like, you don't have to work that hard for anybody. Teresa brings up him saying that he, his ex had taken a butcher knife to someone. And Louis does not respond to that. But what he does say is that he's not here to audition for Margaret. And that is true as well. If Teresa is okay with his stories and all of that, then I say let her be happy and live in her love bubble or whatever the bubble of whatever the hubba bubba of it is. Go on and stay on in it. All right. Margaret walks back over to the other ladies and basically lets them know that, I know she claims it was just me talking about the situation, but everybody was talking about the situation. Okay. Not just me. And the rest of the ladies agree. Jen goes to talk to Teresa and Louis is ready to go home. He's like, I work. He was like, I work and you will never have to work a day in your life. Let's go move into our 50,000 square foot home. And I was like, yeah, y'all better go to your 50,000 square foot home. Go to your home. And Jack is like, are we seeing his true colors? And Joe is wondering to himself, like, can you really handle dating Teresa Giudice? Because this is going to be what comes with that relationship. So Teresa makes up in her mind that she is walking away from anybody that she needs to protect herself from, including the group. It was good. It was good. Now, I'm going to discuss the reunion real quick. And I'm only really going to touch on one part. Actually, two parts if I can find it. Okay? We'll get to that, later. This was probably my favorite part right here.
You ruined your night. All right. You ruined my night. You did. You did.
You did. You did. You did. You did. You did. You did. You did. You did. That reminds me of Marlo and Sheree going at it in South Africa on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I love little moments like that on Housewives that make this epic. But it's this part right here that really, I think, unsettled me the most. And let me see if I can get to it.
She said the word.
Oh, I'll do it right back at you, bitch girl.
Sitting next to her, call me a bitch.
Bitch boy, Joe. Sorry, you are. Wow.
You gotta stop putting me down.
This was the moment that I did not like at all. You know, it's one thing I feel like to have an issue with your sibling, but it is a different situation to me to let some chick who is under my employ, okay, allegedly, call my brother a little b-boy, and then it's even worse for her to then echo that sentiment and call him that on that stage, and for him to not retaliate. That to me was her worst moment on this show. That to me was because at that point we not family no more. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all the absolute truth on that. We ain't family no more. I ain't ever speaking to you again. And in fact, you do not exist to me. And it takes me a very long time to get to the place where a person no longer exists in my mind. Like when I get to that point, I can literally unsee you. Like that to me was foul, it was toxic, it was hurtful, and not only that, it was emasculating for him as well, especially in light of seeing the way that he embraced Louis at the end when Louis asked his permission to ask for his sister's hand in marriage. For her to say that about him was just awful to me. It was awful. It was awful. And for him to not retaliate, I have to give him props for that, because I don't know that I would have been strong enough to not respond in kind. And I do believe that Joe really loves his sister. Even though he recognizes that she doesn't always do the right things. But that I think that he does love her. And you know, I don't like it at all. To me, that's a place that we shouldn't even be going. Okay, it's one thing for Jennifer to say it, but the funny thing about it is, I know that Melissa would never say that to Bill, but Bill ain't gonna speak up much anyway. So it is what it is. Anyway, and the sad thing about it is, the reason and the other reason I feel like she should never have said that about him is that they have both lost their parents. And if anything, they need to lean on each other. And I get that they may not always get along, because what siblings do, but at least have an agreement that there's a place that you are never going to go. So anyway, but we're going to be all up in that reunion next week, ain't we? I know it. Okay. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I was going to try to make this review 30 minutes long. I don't know how we got here, but somehow we're here at an hour. So anyway, y'all know that I love y'all, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank y'all for rocking with me. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one.